Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. Joining me in studio today are Robert Meyer-Burnett.
How you doing?
Jonathan Voico.
Good morning, everybody.
Chris Carr is here.
Hello, everyone.
But most importantly, of course, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. Here's how our show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a bunch of topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, that's when we take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, or question you'd like us to discuss, as long as we deem it appropriate to be discussed on the show, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And here's the great news about the tip link. It's actually good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you happen to be listening to our show on our podcast feed, say either on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or maybe you're watching this show a little bit later in the day on YouTube when we're not live, you can still send in a topic or question. And if you send one in when we're not actually live, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right. Hey, before we get started, I want to mention this. Big congratulations to Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds as the fourth season? What is the third or fourth season coming up?
Third or yeah,
fourth?
I think it's fourth actually.
Fourth season, yes, of Welcome to Wrexham starts in 2 weeks. A show that even though I'm not a big soccer guy, I just became obsessed with this show. And I love it. But I guess yesterday, Wrexham officially secured promotion again for the third year in a row. Now, I don't know a lot about professional soccer, admittedly.
Football.
But, well, as they call it over the pond, footy or football. Apparently, this is the first time ever that a team has secured promotion from one league to the league above it 3 years in a row.
Yep.
From what I understand, it's never been done before.
Wow.
And they went from, what was it, the National League?
National, yeah.
To League Two.
Yeah, League One.
And then they got promoted to League One. And next year they're going to play in the actual Championship League, which is only one league before the Ultimate League, which is the Premiership. So, I mean, congratulations to them. And now I'm really all excited about watching Wrexham, the next season of Wrexham.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really, they were steady the whole way. This season, at least just watching the matches or, keeping track, it didn't feel like there was a lot of drama of they really did well. And they held second place, third place for most of the season. So
I have no idea, or nor do I comprehend anything that you've said or you just said.
I actually wish North American professional sports did this. For those of you who don't know, they have a system, and I'm not completely versed in it, but they have this great system where there are a number of leagues, right, in England playing soccer,
Yeah.
right? Now, if you're so good, whatever, you play in one of the lower leagues. But the thing is, if you win your league that year or qualify high enough, the next season you actually go up into a slightly better league. And then if you qualify in that league that season, you actually get to go up to the next league and the next league and so on. And if you do terrible, you get demoted and go down to a league under. I kind of wish football, hockey, I wish they all kind of had that system. I think that's great.
I got to ask you then. I have a friend, Ileana. She's the ultimate fan of Tottenham Hotspur.
Okay.
What league are they in?
I couldn't tell.
Can Wrexham play them?
They sound like a Premier. I think Tottenham might be a Premier League team. I don't know. Somebody in the live chat is screaming at me, "You don't know shit, Campea. They are in the what's league." I don't know.
She's such a fan that
no, they're saying they're in the Premier League. Yeah, so
they put her on TV. Like she lives in outside of Vegas. They put her on TV she's from England, and she just went to England to see it. Is it Tottenham? Is that how you pronounce it? Tottenham.
You're asking
game,
the wrong
and
dude.
they put her on TV live. She could answer this question. She'd probably punch me in the face.
So
right
it's
now.
the league that say Manchester, right? Everybody knows Manchester United.
Arsenal and Manchester United. That's the only. And
yeah.
Tottenham,
So they're in the Premiership. So there you go. So anyway, again, congrats to all the boys over at Wrexham. First time ever. I cannot wait to watch the new season. This is going to be great.
I'm gonna get in trouble now.
All right, and as people in the live chat, you're saying Tottenham.
Tottenham.
They're saying
Hotspur.
you're saying it right.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. You've got validation.
Hotspurs.
All right.
You go, Eliana.
With that down, guys, let's get on to some stuff here, shall we? And we're going to talk about this. Yesterday, or the day before, a little bit of stir, Kevin Feige announced that although they had already been building sets and all that kind of stuff, a lot of pre-production on Avengers Doomsday, we've actually seen some leaked footage of just some sets being constructed. But Kevin Feige announced that on Monday, that's today, April 28th, actual shooting on Avengers Doomsday begins.
They've gathered all the chairs.
They've got all the chairs.
All the chairs.
Case in point, the Russo brothers put out their first official behind-the-scenes picture, which you can see here. And it was, of course, a chair, a continuation of Chair Watch, on set in, like, the wooden paneling that kind of looks like an X-Mansion, maybe? I don't know. I'm reading a lot into wood paneling on a wall. But again, they just put the name Victor Von Doom right on there. And what did they write? They wrote, Day One. Day One. The movie is shooting as we speak.
So he's not a Stark variant.
Well, they're probably very. Here's the thing. I've never liked that terminology because that makes the assumption that Tony Stark, as we know him, is the base model and all these other things.
True.
It's. I contend that Tony Stark, as we knew him, is a variant of Victor Von Doom. That's. But then again, getting into a play on words.
And that
there.
Madman's not really his dad.
No, they can do a lot of different things. But as we speak, Robert Downey Jr., if that chair's there, assumingly is in front of a camera right now, acting his ass off, and they're making this movie right now. And the movie comes out in a year. And a lot of people asking, is that enough time? Absolutely. It's tons of time. Like, remember, they've been working on this film for months. Building sets, construction, visual effects. By the way, some of you think visual effects work doesn't start till after they're done shooting. Oh, no.
Yeah.
I guarantee you already there's a whole bunch of visual effects that are done.
They're shooting this in London, right?
Yeah, right
They're
now.
shooting
As of
everything there
right
from now
now.
on.
Yeah, as of now, they're shooting. I'm sure probably going to move around a little bit. But they're making this movie. It's coming out in a year. All right. The key thing here for me, as I look at this, is honestly, like, Marvel needs this right now. I mean, listen, they just had a nice little win with Daredevil Born Again. That good job on that. Congratulations on that. That was a win. But it was a Disney Plus show, right? That's not nearly as important. Again, I'm not trying to degrade the Disney Plus stuff, but let's call it what it is. It's not as vital or as important. They really need this because it would have been really nice if Marvel could have followed up the ridiculous success of Deadpool and Wolverine, if they could have followed it up with a really strong Captain America Brave New World. They did not follow up strongly with Captain America Brave New World, which is unfortunate. But at least it came out when everybody knew we've got a new Avengers movie coming. And for them to be on set and shooting this, Rob, let me put it to you. Two different questions I have. Question number one is, I mean, how does it feel in knowing this movie's actually now shooting? The actors are on set, the director's on set. And then number two, how important is it for Doomsday? I mean, nobody thinks it needs to be better than Endgame, better than Infinity War, but how important is it for this movie to do well, and not just do well, but be great? How do you see this?
Well, I think it's cool that it's shooting. I mean, look, the 4 Avengers movies have delivered the goods. They, to me, are peak Marvel. It's what the MCU was leading up to, and they made it work 4 times. So it's exciting as shooting, but I would say that the future of the MCU as a viable entertainment brand, it can't be, as the kids say, mid anymore.
Right.
Deadpool and Wolverine was a anomaly, but the brand has been decidedly mid for a while. And
with a few exceptions.
With a few, sure. But I think overall, whereas the first 23 movies of the Infinity Saga were not. I mean, even the movies that weren't as that great still did pretty well, like Dark World and Incredible Hulk, which is a Universal movie. But I think it's really important. And to be honest, look, the hype is real for this thing. And look, I'm expecting in Infinity War and Endgame greatness from Doomsday and Secret Wars. I mean, nothing less. Why go back? I do not want to see, or at least the Avengers 1. I remember sitting in the theater, John, 2012? I was sitting next to a couple of my friends, and I turned to one of them, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm watching an Avengers movie. Like, since I was a little kid reading comics, arguing with Sean Flaherty across the street, was the JLA better or were the Avengers better? I was like 6. And I was a JLA guy. I didn't like Marvel then. And Silver Surfer's more powerful than Superman, whatever. I mean, I had these arguments. But to see an Avengers movie in the theater was like, it wasn't quite seeing Star Wars for the first time, but it was close. Because I'm like, I can't believe this exists. And then each one of the Avengers movies, Age of Ultron, has only grown in stature since I've seen it. And I've watched Infinity War more times than I ever care to admit. I mean, and I want this movie to be great. Please be great. I want the MCU back.
I mean, it's what I've been saying on my show. The difference between the pre-Endgame MCU and the post-Endgame MCU is that pre-Endgame, although they weren't all bangers and winners, you had a Thor 2, you had an Iron Man 2, whatever, but pre-Endgame, we went into every single Marvel movie expecting it to be great.
Yes.
Since then, we go into Marvel movies today hoping they'll be good. We've gone from expecting great to hoping for good. Anyway,
that's bad.
What's that?
That's bad.
And that's not a step in the right direction.
I don't like it.
Chris, I mean, it's now a real thing. This movie shooting is no longer theoretical. It's no longer just Robert Downey Jr. standing on a stage at Comic-Con.
Sure, it's more
actually shooting. So how relevant is that? But then secondly, as I asked Rob, how important is this for the MCU that this movie in particular works?
Yeah, it is important that they're filming it, they're moving along and everything. The more they show me chairs, the more they tell me, like, this is what we're doing behind the scenes, the
More
less interested I
chairs.
am in this. I'm going to be so honest. The more information I get about this movie, the less excited I am. Where I'm like, you can just tell me you're filming and I'll watch it later. My excitement keeps going down and down.
Everybody
and
said
down.
the chairs was genius, so you're wrong.
Other people are still talking about it, and I'm at that point of, I'm real tired about talking about it.
They'd be talking about a shot from the set just
yeah.
as much as they would a chair.
Yeah.
So
That'd be more interesting. That being said, though, I mean, it is something where they do need to stick the landing. We have to deliver on why RDJ is back, because I'm going to call it what it is. It's still a gamble of make it make sense. Make me understand why RDJ is here, as opposed to, is this some kind of gimmick? Is this some kind of other thing? Are you doing this because of how people have felt about the MCU? So they have to get him right, and they have to get Victor Von Doom right. On top of that, too, I think the kind of conclusion of all these multiverses and all this other information that we've had around the various universes and stuff really needs to stick the landing to have a good payoff. Ultimately, right now, I think Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four are the more important things leading up to it. But I mean, this really just needs to be a stellar film and deliver on what's promised, especially with the Russos behind it. That also sets an expectation.
Also, you just reminded me of something. We all want the multiverse to go away.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole thing.
That's
The
really
multiverse
it.
has not worked, and they keep doubling down on this. And this Avengers movie is a movie that has no Avengers, other than what Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
And we don't even get because the Vision series is going, so we don't know if we're going to get Vision we don't know if we're going to have Paul Bettany, and he's an Avengers heavy hitter. So there's no Avengers. There's a weird total stunt casting in Robert Downey Jr. that's making us all go, huh? Which means it could retcon the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So it's like, I think there's a lot to be trepidatious about.
That's how I feel right now.
Often when we're talking
Trepidation
about
is good.
sticking the landing, we're normally 99% of the time we're talking about something that's been going well so far, but can you stick the landing?
Yeah.
This is one of those situations where it has not gone well. And can you make it worth it? Can you make the mediocrity? Can you make the hit and misses? Can you make a couple of big, shining, excellent projects? Yes, but a number of them that have failed to impress. Can you make all this suffering worth it with a banger of Doomsday and Secret Wars? Now, and by the way, let me give a little bit of pushback on the Robert Downey Jr. stuff, because you mentioned like the stunt casting. I would say this, to the 95% of the general movie-going audience, they don't see this as stunt casting. They see
Right.
this as exciting and amazing and all that kind of stuff. And I think,
Like the Love Boat.
exciting and new, climb aboard, we're expecting
what
you.
is it? It's like every week with the Love Boat with you?
I know, I
It's
can't help
like
it.
a new thing. But
I want to be Meryl Steubing when I grow up.
I think having Victor Von Doom
I think you're there.
being played by Robert Downey Jr. opens a world of amazing storytelling opportunities, like with some real emotional weight. That's though, as Chris says, it's if they execute it right and they pay and they explain it well. Otherwise, it can be a big mess. But we'll see how that goes. Anyway, guys, question is for you: what do you think about this? Avengers Doomsday. It's no longer just in the planning stage. It's actually right now, as we speak, somewhere right now, Robert Downey Jr. is on a set acting as Victor Von Doom, and cameras are rolling. It's exciting. And how important is it for this Doomsday movie to be great? Not necessarily do you think it'll be great, but how important is it that it is? I think it's pretty damn important. Anyway, whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, back in the day when I was younger, Brad Pitt was a big deal. I think an argument could be made, though, right now, in his 50s, Brad Pitt has never been bigger than he is right now. Like, especially like winning his Academy Award, and everybody loves him and all this stuff, and everybody's talking about what's Brad Pitt doing this and that. Well, now, Brad Pitt has just signed on to do an A24 movie called The Riders, based on a novel. IndieWire is reporting this, that Ridley Scott's Scott-free banner will produce the Conclave director's latest from a script by Bones and All scribe David, and I'm going to mispronounce this, Kajganich. I hope I said that right. Anyway, so he's doing this new movie, Brad Pitt, being directed by the guy who directed Conclave, a movie which, by the way, I contend maybe should have won Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Don't get me wrong, super thrilled the Nora won, super am. If I had been a voter, I probably would have given it to Conclave just by a little bit, but either way.
Which is now a documentary.
Yeah.
They've done a documentary on it?
No, it's just 'cause we're looking for a new
with the
Pope.
passing of the Pope, it's kind of people going, by the way, again, highly recommend watching, especially now with the Pope passing and them getting ready to Conclave. Watch Conclave, but the other one you really must watch is The Two Popes with Sir Ian, not Sir Ian McKellen,
Oh shoot.
Anthony Hopkins?
Anthony Hopkins,
Yeah.
thank you. Sir Odin, with Sir Anthony Hopkins in it. It's really fantastic. Talking about the previous Pope that was there. Anyway, IndieWire writes the following. They say Brad Pitt is now an A24 star. The actor-producer will lead Oscar-winning Conclave director. Do we got that screen, Jonathan? There we go. Winning Conclave director Edward Berger's latest film, The Riders, based on Tim Winton's 1994 novel, Bones and All. Scribe David, again, I'm not going to pronounce his last name, who's also writing the Zendaya-led Ronnie Spector biopic, Be My Baby, for A24, will adapt the book. The Riders follows. Now, I'm thinking, Rob, you might know a little bit more about this than me, but The Riders follows Fred Scully, played by Brad Pitt, who, after traveling Europe with his wife Jennifer and 7-year-old daughter Billy, purchases a farmhouse in rural Ireland. Jennifer and Billy then return to Australia to finalize their affairs, only for Billy, the daughter, to return to Ireland alone after traveling across the globe, with Jennifer now missing. Fred is left to make sense of his wife's disappearance in a story that takes a mystical turn. I don't know if that's a spoiler or not.
I don't. Sounds right up my alley, but I don't know about this.
Oh, usually you're the one who knows more about the book
I
stuff
don't
than me.
know this
Because
one.
I'll be honest with you, I've never heard of this book.
No.
But I'm just picturing a scene of Brad Pitt going to the airport to pick up his wife and child. By the way, my wife is actually at the airport right now picking up my sister and her husband. And then standing there and only your daughter coming off the plane.
When
And
it
you have
says
no idea
mystical turn, I keep thinking, shake your ass from About a Boy, because, you know, mystical. That's how it was written in the article.
Show me what you're working with.
Now, I wonder if this will be a crossover with that TV show you used to love.
Love
About
Boat?
the airplane that went missing for...
Oh,
What was
I thought
that?
you were gonna say Love
Manifest.
Manifest.
Yeah.
Maybe this is like a movie extension of Manifest.
Or it could be about Dana Scully's dad. And maybe it's one big X-Files
Oh
tie into
my
Ryan
God.
Coogler's reboot.
I mean, that'd be
Everything's tying together.
Incredible.
But look, you've got me right off the top just when you say something along the lines, hey, Conclave director with Brad Pitt, in kind of a mystery thriller.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
And it sounds like there might be a supernatural element to it. Again, I don't know the book. I might actually have to go look it up now. Maybe I can go download it on Amazon or something. But Sounds interesting to me. Anyway, Chris, you hear about this? What do you think?
I mean, it's always a good idea to have a great actor in an A24 movie. Yay! I too do not know anything about this story or book. I'm very concerned about that mystical turn, though, of what that means.
Yeah.
Especially now, yeah. But I think this is, I mean, A24 has such a solid record. They do such fun, interesting, innovative films that are weird, but the weird works. I mean, anything that Brad Pitt's in, I'm going to watch anyway, even when it's something that I'm not particularly interested in. I didn't think I was going to like Moneyball, and I loved the shit out of that
How
movie.
good was that? Surprisingly good,
so
right?
good. And so if he's in something, I'm going to see it. If it's an A24 movie, that piques my interest even more.
Rob?
It sounds good to me. I mean, the great thing about A24 is they put everything in physical media on their website. You can buy it in 4K or Blu-ray, and I love that. And if you're a member of A24, on your birthday, they allow you to pick anything on their website, and they'll send it to you for free, even paying for the shipping.
Really?
So yeah, so you become a member. It's like $5 a month, and they send you a quarterly magazine, and you get. I have my.
Yeah, you've shown us your
got
keychain
my little
before.
Love
keychain.
it.
My A24. Look, that's a little dirty, but I'm a member.
Dirty.
It's a little dirty.
What are you carrying in your pockets?
Yeah, well.
By the way, a quick side story. You mentioned Moneyball. The very first time I ever met Brad Pitt, they actually flew me out. It doesn't happen very often that studios will fly you somewhere. Like normally they just do all their press stuff just in LA or sometime new, but they actually flew us out to Oakland, and they did a press day kind of in what was, I guess currently still is the Oakland, or was the Oakland Athletics, the Oakland A's stadium. And we got to do a Moneyball press day right there. And
that movie is so good.
It is, you know what? It's ridiculously good.
It's so good.
And it's the one that really put Jonah Hill, I think, on, I know we're getting off topic, but on the map for me is like, oh, he's not just a funny fat guy from this, that, or the other. This dude can really act. And of course, now we just only think of him in that way. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Brad Pitt is joining A24. By the way, how great does F1 look? Can't wait to see F1.
Dude, come on.
But he's now going to be starring in The Riders, based on a novel. Did any of you guys read the book? If so, what did you think about it? What do you think about him teaming up with the director of Conclave? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's talk about this, shall we? Last night, the new episode of Last of Us Season 3, or Season 2, Episode 3, came out last night. Of course, it's following hot on the heels of the Joel death stuff. And what would they do with this episode? Now, whenever you say Last of Us and Episode 3, obviously you think a lot about the Season 1, Episode 3, which I contend might be the single best episode of television in 10 years. I think it still holds that to this day. How would this episode follow up? Well, here are my thoughts. It was emotionally very satisfying. Like, this wasn't an exciting, like the invasion of Jackson or anything like that happened, but you know, they were talking to Druckmann in the after show. Did you watch the after part?
I do.
They were talking to Druckmann. He said, I was really excited about this because it let us do something we just couldn't do in the game, which is to visit the aftermath of Joel dying. Because in the game, you know, this is one of the things I was talking about. He says, in the game, the mechanics of a game, you got to get right back to gameplay. But here we really wanted to take our time. That is just, okay, Joel got killed. Let's go off on a revenge quest. It's, how does it affect their town? How does it affect the people close to him? How does it affect all this kind of stuff? And I got to say, there is a moment in this episode that I don't know has broken me emotionally as much as this did. And it's as Ellie wakes up in the hospital after the assault and the attack, and all she can see is Joel being killed in front of her. That's all she sees. And let me tell you, her screaming and crying in that moment, after she has been such a wretch to Joel that season, and you see all of that welling up. I'm not going to lie to you. Right now at this moment, I'm getting emotional thinking about it. as she screamed and wailed in emotional trauma and distress and pain, I broke a little bit. And then they showed that quick clip in the after show, and I broke again. Anybody who ever suggests that this girl should not be playing Ellie, just shut the fuck up. Because in this moment, like, it was the highlight of the season for me. Listen, the whole gate crashing down with the infected on top of Abby, the whole invasion of Jackson, like all the other, that's all great. This has been the best moment, single moment I think this show's ever had. It moved me. It was incredible. And then I'll tell you what, the speech she gave at the city council was wonderful. Not framing it not as we need to go get these guys. It's like, this is how we protect ourselves by making sure justice is carried out. Because if justice ain't carried out, we're exposing everybody here to more of the same. And the way they framed it, I love the changes they made from the game to this story-wise. Again, I'm going to say this. It is my least favorite episode of the season so far. But I've really liked the season so far, and I just thought this was a very emotionally satisfying one. It was a total change of gears from the last episode, and anybody who goes into it just looking for more shooting the heads off of infected and blood and the action and the explosions, maybe this won't be for them, but I found it very satisfying. Anyway, Chris, did you have a chance to see the new episode of The Last of Us, and what
Yes.
did you think about it, and what stood out to you?
Well, I got to do a double whammy again because Logan hadn't seen episode 2.
Double whammy.
Yeah, not the great word choice, but you know what it was. So that involved him taking a lap around the house a couple times and then sitting down. This episode was powerful, but also kind of almost like a palate cleanser that we sort of needed.
That's a good way to put it.
We needed this emotional beat
A quiet
so we could
moment.
reset. Exactly.
Yeah. Game of Thrones did well at that.
Yeah, HBO has always been really great about that kind of pacing, and it's something I really commend them on. And one of the things that I really took note of here too is just how much beauty you see in this episode. The landscape shots.
Oh my God! And then the graveyard.
The graveyard is a stunning. I mean, that is
That
this
cinematography
is a
is
beautiful,
insane.
beautiful
Oh,
frame.
yeah. By the way, all shot up in Canada, up
Yeah.
in Alberta, Canada.
I mean,
This was
really, really gorgeous.
Look at the cinematography. I like
so
that in
well
the after
done.
show, they actually focused on the cinematographer.
Yeah.
Because, like, the shooting in this, visually, cinematography has been incredible.
It's so great. And I love that, you know, the point of this episode really too is to get us as the viewer on board with we're moving on from Joel. I mean, we have heard that we are going to get some flashbacks or things like that because
Yeah.
they don't want to work at a completely linear timeline. But it is this kind of setup of, do we believe that Ellie can lead this show? And my takeaway from this was yes. We can absolutely follow her. We can absolutely see this journey. She's such a tremendous actress. Her relationship with Dina is so compelling, and I do want to watch that pairing. And I just really love that we are set up with, this isn't a smart thing to go do. As no matter what Ellie wants to say about this being justice, not vengeance, it's not the smart move in this kind of world. The council is totally right. But you full-heartedly go, yeah, if someone did that to my dad, my found father, I'd absolutely be in the same boat of like, nope, no justice has to be served. And it's just so well executed. Again, not a great word, but this is a really beautifully done episode.
The
Rob?
puns.
Look,
know.
I agree. I thought this was a great episode. I love the scene with Catherine O'Hara watching the baseball game.
Oh, my God.
When Joel's brother came over, you know, and they had that conversation. And I love that character. I love the way she plays the character. And I love how she's kind of, she's the ultimate realist. You know, I love, she's like, I smoke a lot of weed and I drink. I'm an alcoholic, you know.
The idea of her being a therapist just because no one else is
and she's
alive
like,
who's qualified.
and she's like, I should be talking to someone else, but there's no one else here.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, I love the fact that, you know what I really like about how they've depicted Jackson? You know, when you're watching Walking Dead, one of the things about that show that bothered me is like, no one would act like this if human beings were at a premium. If the world is full of zombies and there's no human beings are going to act this way to other human beings because there's so few people left. And whereas in Jackson, the way they're depicting the remnants of humanity, I totally believe him. I'm like, these are the way people would be. You know, they're not superhumans. They've built, I love when somebody said, Well, we saw how we can't stay behind walls. I think Ellie said, because we've seen how that works. You know, like even though we've built these walls around us, it's not going to help us. You know, I really liked, and I think that's Robert Burke, the actor who played RoboCop after Peter Weller left in RoboCop 3. He was the old guy that gave him the horse
Right,
and stuff.
yeah.
I love that. I loved him too. I love when he stood up and said, look, man, you can't, we got to do this, you know, and we have to go get this kind of justice because this show, peak verisimilitude. I believe this show. And I love the fact that I believe this show because it's beautifully written. And all the changes they're making from the game have only accentuated it and made it more believable. I'm sure there's a lot of video gamers out there, oh, it should be just like this. And I'm like, it can't be. That's not how drama works. When you're not the protagonist and you're watching it from a distance, they've done such a beautiful job. Mason's a great writer, really smart guy.
Yeah.
And this show, even though it's a post-apocalyptic and there are, you know, the cordyceps hordes are out there, that's not what this show's about. You know, it's about these people, and I'm so invested in everybody. It's great. This show is a great show.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think about episode 3, season 2 of The Last of Us? Again, it was a show, it was an episode, to your point, Rob, that they wanted to make sure you understood this is a show about these people.
Yeah.
And showing the effect on the town, the effect on various people, how they all mourn. I love the moment when Dina says, you know, I loved him too. And it's like that Ellie realizing, oh yeah, it's not just me. Other people hurt. And I love when Tommy says to her, don't assume to tell me about my own brother.
Right.
Like, right? Like that was like him putting his foot down and all. Again, I really enjoyed it. My least favorite of the season so far, but I still really enjoyed it. I thought it was really emotionally resonant with the most emotionally powerful moment I think the show's ever had. Anyway, guys, whatever you thought about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, last week on the show, we had a question come in that basically said, hey, true or false, I think it was, one of our viewers asked, Sinners will take less than a 50% drop on the second weekend. To which I said, false. I think it'll be very close. It'll have a very good, I was guessing 53% drop, which is very good. And I thought, but I think under 50% is a little tough. So I'm going to say 53. Well, I was wrong, as the movie Sinners ended up taking a 6.3% drop. Let me say that again. A 6.3% drop, which smashes any box office record for a wide release horror film in its second week. Never happened before. I think Get Out used to hold that record, and it was like 15%, which is, I'll be honest with you, I never thought that would be beat. Now listen, second weekends can go up, but most of the time, most of the time, that's because a movie gets released in a limited release and the following week then goes wider, and that's why. But traditionally speaking, you're in good shape if you take a 50 to 60% drop. And you're popping bottles if you have a less than 50% drop. A 6% drop. This movie made $45 million opening weekend. It basically made $45 million again on its second weekend. And I had my buddy, you guys know him, you've seen him on the show a couple of times, my friend Soul. He texts me the other day and says, hey, Campea, like movie ticketing buying question. Is it normal that I have to book 2 weeks in advance to try to see a movie in IMAX? Because like the IMAX screenings of this thing are like sold out.
They're selling tickets on eBay.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
Are they? Now, again, for a movie that made $45 million, that means there's a lot of empty seats. But just a lot of people are opting to go try to see it in IMAX, which they shot a bit of the film in IMAX. This is insane. Now, look, I don't want to paint a picture here like this is one of the biggest box office, dominant performances of all time. It's not. The reality is it's made about $160 million so far, right? This isn't like, some superhero movie that's made $400 million in its first 2 weeks. But again, emphasizing this, for a mid-budget horror film, this is unexplored territory. And this thing has been doing so well. So Rob, let me go to you number one, how big of a deal is this like 6% drop? But second, what's the staying power of this movie where most movies take a standard 50 to 6% drop? This thing is like hasn't lost a step. How do you see this?
Well, okay, first of all, I think what this movie is doing is giving audiences something that they crave, which is a unique experience in the movie theater. I mean, there's so much going on in this film. First of all, from the way it was crafted to having Michael B. Jordan playing two roles to Ludwig Göransson's amazing. I mean, the music in this film
So fantastic.
is unbelievable.
Side note, Anne has had the soundtrack of this movie just on play repeat all week.
Oh.
Every time I get into a car, it's the music from the movie.
And it has a horror component. And it's funny because I keep seeing people online, people have been talking to me about, well, Rob, it's not that good. It's not the best vampire movie I've ever seen. I'm like, but it's not a vampire movie. Vampires are just one component of it. I wouldn't call this a vampire movie. I think this is something, there are vampires in it, but the vampires also are stand-ins for, this movie is a look at America. It's a look at black culture. It's a look at immigrant culture. It's a look at the Delta Blues and all the mythology that comes around. It's like Robert going down to the crossroads, and making a deal with the devil for his talent.
Robert Johnson.
Yeah, and you've got the Irish vampire doing a jig or whatever. I mean, there's so much going on in this film. John, this made me go down a rabbit hole to find out, were there really Chinese immigrants in Mississippi in 32? And there were indeed. And there was whole laws about them which made the black community and the Chinese community have a kinship, because there were Jim Crow laws and then there were laws against Chinese immigrants in the late 1800s. I mean, Ryan Coogler's put so much into this movie. I think when people go see it, they feel they've really seen something. Look, I want authorship. When I see a movie, I want to know that there was authorship behind it. And Ryan Coogler wrote and directed this film. Is it a little heavy-handed in parts? Sure. But you know what? When I walked out of that movie, I've seen it 3 times now. When I walked out of it, every single time, I'm like, I feel that I had it. Like you always talk about movies being experiential events.
Yeah.
This is an experiential
100%.
event in the theater. And it has so much to say, especially coming out when it's coming out now. When there's so many questions you come out of that theater with, and you contemplate things, and it's what movies are all about, man. It used to be, when we were growing up and we were living through the 80s, you'd see all these great genre movies, and you'd walk out going, I wonder what my next experience is going to be like, because we'd never had these experiences before. Even if you didn't like a movie, you'd come out and go, wow. Like, when I saw Blade Runner for the first time, I didn't love it, but it was an experience. I saw it in a 70 millimeter with the new bass system they put in the theater. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I like this movie, but wow, I'd never seen that before. And I think people are craving that. And that's what Sinners is providing.
Chris, I mean, listen, these are numbers I've never even comprehended before, especially for the genre, right? This is absolutely crazy. Now, it should be noted, get your IMAX screenings in quick, because Thunderbolts is coming and they're going to be taking over the IMAX screens. But still, how significant is this number? Like this 6% drop. This is ridiculous.
Oh, it's huge.
And then what is it about this movie that just has everybody just going to it again and again?
I mean, it is a massively big deal. It is such a wonderful thing for this film. And, there's this great quote of the best revenge is living well. And I love to see this coming off of that Variety article talking about, we'll see if this movie will be profitable. This is great for them. I love that. This movie, I think what people are so drawn to it is it doesn't feel like a genre film, right? It doesn't feel like it's a horror movie because it encapsulates so much. Like Rob was just talking about, there's so much jam-packed into this film. And as somebody who does not enjoy the horror genre, typically, this movie is so good. I can't wait to go see this again. I want to catch it in IMAX before Thunderbolts gets in there because I didn't see it in IMAX the first time. I think this this is such a great thing. And I think the reason why so many people also like it is because Ryan Coogler exercised such freedom in this film. Everything else he's done has all been IP based before that he's had to adapt or kind of reinvent. And this was him doing his own thing. And one, as a movie-going audience, isn't it so cool when we get fresh IP? And when people actually come out to see that fresh IP, we're always talking about how we want new original stories, and then people don't show up. The fact that people showed up to this speaks volumes about how high the quality is. It also just makes me so thrilled to see what else he has in store. Because if this is what he gets to do when he's not tethered to anything, boy, the sky is the limit. I mean, his films are going to be so exciting. And this was just such a thrill to watch. I love this.
I think one of the things that Sinners does is it cements, at least to me, it cements that Ryan Coogler's name has to be put into the conversation with Denis Villeneuve, Christopher Nolan, as the directors today that whatever they do, you got to go see.
Yep.
And there's not many directors right now that I think are in that category. But I mean, look, you look at his filmography. Again, I think his worst movie is Black Panther 2, but that movie was made under ridiculously, horrible and terrible circumstances.
But it's still a full meal.
But I mean, again, that movie was made under the most ridiculous and horrible of situations. I don't know that anybody could have even pulled it off. That being said, you look at his filmography. The first Creed is so good. Fruitvale Station, Black Panther, and now he's got this. And he's doing something that even some great directors, like a Quentin Tarantino, haven't been able to do. Quentin Tarantino, who I love and is amazing, but every one of his movies is a definitively Quentin Tarantino movie. They all kind of have that same flavor. Whereas already Ryan Coogler is showing, I can do it all, man. I can do it all. Like a Denis Villeneuve, like a Christopher Nolan. So, well, I'd like to see Christopher Nolan diversify a little bit more too. But I mean, I think his name is just up there now. And again, I know this is not a $500 million film, but I mean, for what it is, a mid-budget genre vampire horror film, I mean, it is hitting numbers that we've just never seen before. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? We just saw something, honestly, we may never see again. A 6% drop from week 1 to week 2 without it becoming a wider release for a horror film? I honestly don't know that we'll ever see this again. How do you feel about this? What's your perspective on Ryan Coogler right now? Whatever you guys think, jump on down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to bid adieu to Chris Carr and Robert Meyer Burnett. Thanks so much, guys. Looking forward to having a great week with both of you.
Bye.
But now it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your live comments and questions. So, Jonathan, what do we got up first?
Your name says, due to scheduling conflict, I missed this special Comic-Con event at Cinemark. I think he meant CinemaCon.
CinemaCon, yeah.
Could the event have been for folks who watch trailers on TV and movie theaters, not online? I mean, I don't think it would have mattered.
Basically, it all is online already.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that was the big pushback to the big, CinemaCon event that they had in movie theaters, was they gave the impression, they implied that, hey, come out to the movie theater and you're going to get the CinemaCon experience. You're going to see all this great stuff that happened at CinemaCon. And then ultimately what they did was just showed stuff that was already put online. Trailers and stuff like that's already online. And it pissed a lot of people off who booked out their evening, took the time, went to the theater for the night, and did not get what they were expecting to get. And that's really unfortunate. So asking, well, why didn't they just put it up? Well, it is online already. That's kind of the problem. All right, what's next?
Funky Buddha says, were you able to check out Havoc? I subscribed solely for this movie and Gareth Evans, and will probably churn at the end of the month. Havoc was an enjoyable, fun viewing. Thin plot, ultra-violent, reminiscent of old school Chow Yun-Fat, John Woo action movies.
Yeah, first of all, I love Tom Hardy. And I'm watching his new show right now, Mobland, which I'm absolutely loving. Did Havoc come out already?
I guess so.
Did it?
Or he's waiting for it to come out this month and he's going to churn it.
Okay, yeah, like I'm planning on seeing it. I didn't know if it had come out yet or not. I am planning. Oh, they're saying yes, it's out on Netflix now.
Oh, there you go.
All right, so it did come out. I didn't realize it came out. I love Gareth Evans. I love Tom Hardy. I love good action flicks. Can I just be honest? Here, let me just be honest with you. When a movie comes straight out and gets dumped on streaming, I have less enthusiasm for it. I'm not saying I should, I'm not saying you should. I'm just being honest and telling you that's just the way it is. And because I'm thinking if it's actually really good, they would make it a real movie and put it in theaters. I don't know why this movie isn't in theaters. But that being said, I have not heard great things about it. Actually, I haven't looked yet, but I'm guessing it's going to be low.
65%.
It's got a 65? That's better than I thought. Because I've heard some really negative things about it.
Interesting. 65 critic, but 39% audience. So I might not like this one.
So, yeah. Anyway, but look, I'm going to see it. I'm going to watch it again because it's the guy who directed The Raid and it's Tom Hardy. So I'm going to see it. And as long as it's got some like fun action and stuff like that, it'll probably be worth watching it to me. Again, I just have to admit that if it's not in theaters, it's not a real movie. So it kind of drops on my expectation scale a little bit. All right, what's next?
Okay, Curious Annoying Nerd says, silly game of FMK Film Edition. Pretend you're a studio exec. I'll give 3 hypothetical films that are fully complete. You decide which one gets theatrical release, straight to streaming, or tax write-off. So an animated adaptation of Star Fox would be the first one, and then a live-action remake of Atlantis, The Lost Empire, followed by a Fleetwood Mac biopic centered around the Rumors era. I feel like I personally would put Fleetwood Mac on the big screen. And if Star Fox was live action, that would definitely be big screen, and the Rumors thing would be streaming. But since it's animated, I guess I'd put it like on a Netflix. Rumors on the big screen, and Atlantis I'd tax right off.
If Star Fox is live action, that's theatrical.
Has to be theatrical.
Has to be your theatrical. The Fleetwood Mac one for me is the streaming. And the Atlantis one is the tax write-off.
Yeah, I think we're basically on there. So
yeah, so that's how I see it.
I agree with you with the Fleetwood Mac, but I would actually put Star Fox in the theaters.
even as animated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even as animated.
Oh, so even if it was animated, you put
Yeah,
that
yeah.
theatrical.
I
Okay.
think it would look rad, to be honest.
All right, what's next?
Okay, Anonymous says, hi team, just watched Warfare. Nothing groundbreaking, but a really good solid film. I thought it was a good example of perfect runtime for the story. A lesser director would have maybe tried to drag the story unnecessarily. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, listen, again, I don't think it's the film of the year sort of thing that some people made it out to be, but it was really good. I was late to the party on it. I saw it like a while after it opened, but here's what he did brilliantly with it. The way it's shot, all that kind of stuff, it felt, number one, it felt intimate, which it's difficult to get that sort of feeling in like a war action sort of film, right? But you felt like you were right in there with them. I know the word intimate has romantic connotations. That's not how I mean it. I mean in this literal definition. It felt intimate. He uses the environment to create the tension. It's just a great film. And you're right. This was a great example of a movie that understood it's what's right for this movie. What is the right runtime for this movie? Because you're right. I think a lot of other directors would have felt the need to try to overcomplicate it or cushion it a bit, and they didn't do that here. And that's one of the reasons why it was so good. All right, what's next?
Gator says, my final asterisk prediction for Thunderbolts. I think one of the Thunderbolts probably Bucky hates the name, so he says, let's put an asterisk next to that name, like a subject to change. They'd never actually changed the title, though. No,
now,
they haven't.
You know, Rob came in my house today, and the first thing he says, do you want to know what the asterisk means? Because he found out. And I'm like, no. And I understand it's all over the internet, but I don't want to know. I mean, it's not going to change my experience of the movie if I did, but I'm just going to save that one for a surprise for myself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could be that, but here's the thing. If that's it, that seems a silly thing to base this whole marketing strategy around, about how making a big deal out of the asterisks and even making the asterisks the shape of the table that they're standing on in the poster. That seems like a little bit much for just a line that says, well, I don't really like the name. Let's just put an asterisk on it for now.
Because they have shown in the trailers where they're like, I hate that name. But then when you make it, like you said, like now they're just like, that's part of the whole marketing thing. It's like, okay.
All right. What's next? By the way, I am seeing Thunderbolts on Thursday, like many of you.
But you're seeing it in Vegas, right?
But I'm going to be seeing it in Las Vegas because, you know, Ann and I are taking my sister and her husband who have never been to Vegas. We're going to be taking them to Vegas that week. So look for my out of the theater reaction on Thursday afternoon from Vegas. I'm so excited about seeing this. All right. What's next?
Garden Variety says, what method do theaters like AMC use, putting movies in order on Fandango? Or does Fandango choose? My local AMC is showing 21 different movies today, and Sinners is 12th in line after Star Wars 3 and Pride and Prejudice anniversaries. Expected interest? Yeah, I think it's just like whatever's
I'll be
hype.
honest with you, I have no idea what the question.
I think it's just like the order of like if you go on to like Fandango or whatever, and there's like a list of movies there. Why isn't Sinners like right at the top?
Oh, well,
Versus,
yeah,
like-
that has nothing to do with the movie theaters. That's strictly Fandango. And I honestly don't know what goes into that. I really don't. I don't think it really matters. Like if I go there looking for a movie, I'll just go right for it. But it's an interesting question. I just honestly have never given it any thought.
Personally, I
have no idea how
Yeah.
they decide that.
Personally, my only guess about the Revenge of the Sith and Pride and Prejudice is because they are very limited release. They're going to put that right up top because you're not seeing that 2 weeks from now. So
Yeah.
you know.
All right. What's next?
Garden Variety says, recommend Screen Crush YouTube video of 121 Easter eggs for Andor episodes 1 through 3. It's amazing detail in Star Wars. We love you more, John, of course.
Oh,
There are
listen.
so
I
many.
really like Screen Crush. I really like Screen Crush.
So many Easter eggs.
They do a very good job. And again, you know me, I don't like to call out other YouTube channels, so I won't. But there's a big trend on YouTube for like putting bullshit titles, like this of this, and there's nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with it whatsoever. Screen Crush does a great job. One, it's just everything, their breakdowns. I mean, this is one of the advantages of not doing it live, so they can edit and all that kind of stuff. But they do such a great job of with their videos. I mean, not all of them are complete bangers, but it's one of the movie YouTube channels, the movie space YouTube channels that I really enjoy. It's a really good one. And if you happen to know anybody that works over at them, let them know. Kudos from me. I think they do a great job. All right, what's next?
Thomas Patterson says, I rewatched episode 3 in theaters. I never had it ranked lower than Rogue One before, which, why is Rogue One so low? But after watching Andor, I was struck by how under-executed the movie was and how much they used dialogue as exposition. Still fun, but not as good as I remember.
Here's the thing. You know, Jonathan and I were talking about this before the show started, because I had heard from a couple of other people as well. You know, to me, the prequel movies are an insufferable, shitty pile of garbage on fire. Now, I say that, but I will also defend certain moments in all three of the movies. Like Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith. Horrible pieces of crap movies. But I will defend and die on the hill the pod race sequence in Phantom Menace. I think is awesome. Obviously the lightsaber fight with Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul, with the Duel of the Fates itself.
Yeah.
That piece of music is like one of the greatest pieces of Star Wars music ever. There are things that I like about all of them. And I will say Revenge of the Sith, I think, is the least offensive of the three. I think it's easily the best of the three.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, a lot of times over the years, I would have a lot of people say to me, well, John, but those are the movies that I grew up with, the prequels. So I love them. And that's great. That's fair. Nothing wrong with that. If you love it, you love it. And I think that's great. But one of the funny things is, to your point, and like I said, Jonathan and I were just talking about this before the show started. I've had some people message me going, because they went to go see the re-release this week. And they're like, it's not as good as I remembered. Thank you. Because Jonathan, you've been reading that too. You've been seeing those reactions as well.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. And by the way, it did really well.
Oh, yeah.
The re-release this weekend made over $20 million for a re-release. That's not an all-time high, but that's really good.
Well, and worldwide, it's like 40.
Yeah, like worldwide, it's like 40. That's really good for a re-release,
Imagine
guys.
releasing something 20 years old and it just makes $42 million for you.
It's just funny that the number of people I've heard from that which kind of went, yeah, it's not as great as I thought. Oh, by the way, let me see if I can, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to try. Yeah, my wife, Anne, just sent me an image. Let me see. Hold on a second. Give me a moment to see if I can get it on my screen here. Just give me 1 second. Like I said, my wife, Anne, just went to the airport to pick up my little sister, who is coming to visit since she's never been in LA. and this is her first time coming to visit. And we're going to take them to Vegas. So she picked them up from the airport, and my wife, on their way back, decided to stop in Hollywood because they've never seen Hollywood before.
Oh, funny.
And my wife just now sent me this
For
picture.
the red carpet.
She said they're setting up for the Thunderbolts premiere, which I
Probably
guess
at El Capitan.
probably at the El Capitan. They're setting up for it right now. So my wife is down there right now at the red carpet, taking a picture. So that's where Anne is right now. She's in Hollywood with my and how cool is that for my sister? Like, she just put boots on the ground. She literally just landed. My wife takes her in, and the very first thing is she's standing at the red carpet for a premiere. That's pretty cool,
That
right?
embargo lifts tomorrow.
The
official review embargo.
The full review embargo. The full review embargo lists tomorrow.
I did that. I did that with friends, and they were from Canada as well. And they had basically just come in, and then we went to downtown LA. And we were going to go get dinner, and I don't remember. It was just like a NYC, whatever. It was a cop show, but it was supposed to be New York, but they shoot it in downtown LA. And in downtown LA, you can't block off like the sidewalks, so technically you get to walk through a live set.
Yeah.
And they were doing like a shootout, so they were shot, not obviously like live rounds, but live blanks. Bam, 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 bam. You can see and all that, and they were just like, they were tripping out because they're like, we're literally just walking through a movie set right now. It's funny when you could do that.
By the way, somebody's saying, John, you should give her your press pass, and someone else is asking, are you going to the premiere? Look, for those of you who haven't been around for a long time, like 3 or 4 years ago, I just made the decision not to go to any more press stuff at all, period, ever. I told all my studio contacts, take me off your press list. I'm not going to go. Some of them still send me stuff. Like I've showed it on the show sometimes, like they still send me invites, and that's very nice of them. But I decided a number of years ago that I don't go to any of these things. I don't accept any invitations. I don't attend any press events. I don't go to any premieres. I don't do any that stuff at all. For a couple of reasons. Number one, it's generally a waste of time. But number two, like, I just liked having the ability to anybody, whoever says to me, oh, you're just saying you like something for access. I get to say, I don't have any access.
Yeah.
I gave up all my access years ago. I have none of it. So just so there's that. Anyway. All right. What's next?
Joshua says, hey there, John. I was curious, what movies have you seen in your life that you love but will never watch again? For example, I love 12 Years a Slave, but will never watch it again because it's just so emotionally heavy and hard to handle at times.
I do have a couple of those.
Life is Beautiful for me.
Oh, I have rewatched that one.
Yeah.
Just because it's so good, but I don't rewatch it as many times as, say, other movies that I rank as high as it.
And 12 Years a Slave is the same. I have only seen it once.
The two other ones for me, one is one that a lot of people say, and one is not. The one that you don't hear a lot of people talk about, but I think is fantastic, is Detroit. That is the right name of it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So Anthony Mackie
Took place during the riots.
Yeah. I mean, that movie, and the director of Hurt Locker.
Got you.
I'm freezing on her name now.
Oh,
And-
Chloe.
What?
Was it Chloe's?
No, it's not Chloe
sorry.
anything.
No,
I'm trying to
it's
remember.
Catherine Bigelow.
Oh, sorry.
Catherine Bigelow. Thank you.
I think it's something else.
Catherine Bigelow directed it, and it's fantastic. I love that movie, but I can't watch it again. I just can't.
That's was it the heavy themes of war or?
No, it's
No,
not a
he's
war
not-
movie. It's not a
Detroit.
war
Oh,
movie.
it's not?
like-
I haven't seen
No,
it.
Detroit.
it's set in the U.S. It's based on true events and all that kind of stuff. The other one is the one that everybody would. It's Schindler's List. Schindler's List is an all-time great movie, but I don't know that I can watch
I've seen
it
it
again.
multiple simply because then like family members were like, oh, I need to see this and stuff. So then you just end. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. All right. What's next?
Jared Oberfield says, do not worry, John. Your Leafs are still in a good spot. They've never lost a series after going up 2-0, and they're heading back home. Even though they lost 4, I want more games like that. This series has turned into a fun watch.
Well, I mean, they were up 3-0.
Wait, you can't lose 4. It's a 7-game series.
So they're up 3-0.
Yeah.
And then they lost one. That's fine.
Just one.
And they lost it. I think it was
lost game 4.
Yeah,
haven't
they lost
four
game
games.
4.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, the lease will be fine, and it'll be one of the very rare wins. So I'm very excited. And the next game's at home, so very excited about that.
Oh yeah, someone just wrote Requiem for a Dream. I've only seen that
Requiem for a
once.
Dream is another.
I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm good. I'm
Requiem,
good.
that's another one I don't think I can ever watch again. Yeah.
Yeah. You think your life's bad?
Woo. All right, what's
Mad
next?
Dolphin says, if Final Destination and F1 both turn out to be hits as well, DeLuca and Abdi will go from potentially being fired to getting a raise.
Well, I don't think they're getting any raises.
Yeah,
Not
that
after the
just
money
saves
they've
your
lost
job.
already. But it could very well save their jobs.
Could be.
Man, I gotta tell you, I've never uttered the words, I'm excited to see the next Final Destination movie. I've never said those words before.
I only
But
saw
I'm
the
saying
very-
them about this one because of that CinemaCon presentation.
Wow. Yeah, I've only seen the very first one.
Dude, I'm telling you what, the scene, the like 5, 6, 7 minute scene that they showed us at CinemaCon,
Yeah,
I understand they don't want to give too much away,
sure.
but considering that scene turned me from I don't care about Final Destination movies to
Yeah.
I'm really
You've been
excited to see
talking
this
about
one.
it.
They should absolutely release that online. Like, I understand you don't want to give away big chunks of the movie, but considering that scene converted me, it'll convert a lot of people. I absolutely think they should put that out online. And then, of course, F1. I don't know how big it'll be at the box office, specifically domestically. I think it'll be quite big internationally because F1 racing is huge around the world. But I'm also very, very excited for that one.
If only there were something, maybe if they didn't want to release it online, something in theaters that they had where they could show exclusive footage.
Like, say, footage they showed us at CinemaCon.
Yeah.
That would be
If
so
only
cool.
something like that existed.
That'd
Yeah.
be awesome. Too bad there will never be another one.
It doesn't exist.
All right, what's next?
Twilight Boy.
Twilight Boy.
Episode 3 looking to do about 25 mil this weekend, making it one of the biggest releases ever. Well, I think he means anniversary releases. I don't think I've ever seen a trilogy so widely hated and have this big of a 180 on public perception. Glad to see so many enjoy it. Good weekend for theaters. I don't think it changed public perception.
No, it definitely didn't change public perception. But you brought up something about it being a good weekend for the theaters. This is one of the only weekends in years, and the Revenge of the Sith had a part to play in this, where a minimum of 4 movies this weekend all made over $20 million. That's big, especially from the first part of the year where it was a real struggle at the box office, and they're hoping some brighter days are ahead, particularly with Thunderbolts coming and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's significant that this weekend had 4 films that made over $20 million. And Revenge of the Sith was part of that. Again, not the biggest re-release ever, and re-releases are re-releases, but it was a very successful one for them. Absolutely. All right, what's next?
Rory John says, I know Rise of Skywalker is trash, but I can't get over both General Hux and Kylo Ren getting redemption arcs in that movie. They were responsible for the Hosnian cataclysm, killing tens of billions of people. At some point, you can't get redemption. I never felt Hux did. He was a tool.
Hux was responsible for nothing. Hux was a tool. And listen, there are interesting stories told where there can be interesting stories to be told about people who got swept up in something and then later realized this is a terrible thing.
Yeah.
Hux was always a questionable character. I mean, I liked him in The Force Awakens.
Force Awakens, yes.
But his negative traits got more annoying as the movies progressed.
Yeah. He became sniveling.
Yeah. I mean, listen, in the pantheon of all the things wrong with The Rise of Skywalker, that one doesn't rank as high to me. There's a lot of other things of that garbage that was way worse to me, but that's just me. All right. What's next?
Gregor, hey, John Crew, love the show. Excuse me. You predicted last week that Sinners was going to drop 50%.
I predicted 53%.
Yeah, in its second weekend. How surprised were you by 6? Did you underestimate the word of mouth for the movie? Why was it so unexpected?
Well, listen, it's not just me. Nobody.
It's unexpected because it's never happened.
Nobody who has any experience with anything, nobody would have said 6%. Nobody.
I would have been shocked by 20. If we said 20%,
I still would be
I'd
shocked.
be like, whoa.
Now, if they had announced 40, which would be ridiculously good. I would have gone, wow, I'm surprised, but yeah, that was within the realm of possibility. This is listen, I don't want you guys to miss this. What Sinners just did is nothing short of historic.
Yep.
This thing is, what it did is nothing short of historic. So yeah, nobody got that. And I mean, I'm so pleased for it. This thing just has incredible staying power.
And let's be fair, out of everyone in the room, it would have been me who would have said 6%.
You know what? I will give you,
You know,
that. Now, you
I-
did not say 6%.
Yeah, but let's
you would
just
have been the
point
one
out
to
the
say it.
fact
You would have
that
been
if
the one to say
anybody
it.
said something that ridiculous, it would have been me.
Yeah, it would have been you, 100%.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, you
what's
know
next?
what? Because I often compare stuff like this to like my Big Fat Greek Wedding, and even that was a 38% drop in the second weekend, and everyone thought back then that was astounding.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
I said Ryan Coogler. Brian O'Connor says Ryan Coogler has the career I thought Jordan Peele was going to have. Ryan hasn't missed yet for me. I would say Wakanda Forever is not a miss, but it was definitely a step down. But God,
again, there's a big asterisk on that one because of the circumstances of them trying to make that movie.
I mean,
Jordan Peele's an interesting thing to me because Jordan Peele came out of the gate with Get Out, like one of the most,
Get Out is so
important,
good.
relevant, like powerful, especially as a directorial debut. It's one of the best directorial debuts I think I've ever seen. But he has not really impressed me since. I'm just being, and I say this as a huge fan, but he followed that up with Us, and I did not love Us. And then he followed that up with Nope, and I didn't like Nope at all. It had its moments. It definitely had its moments, but I didn't like that. And I went into both of those films with enthusiasm and with high anticipation, and now he's got this new one coming out where he's not directing it, but he's the producer of it. The one about the athlete, the football player.
I think it's called The Athlete.
Is it called The Athlete? I don't think it's called The
I
Athlete.
thought it was called The Athlete.
Yeah, it's called something. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's him. H-I-M. It's him.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Him.
And they showed us a big preview for it at CinemaCon, and I'm like, this doesn't look very good. Now, again, different thing. It's not Jordan Peele directing it. He's producing it, but Jordan Peele is a guy I'm still really want to keep my eye on because he shows he's got all the potential in the world, especially with what he did with Get Out. But Ryan Coogler, he just keeps delivering, man. He just delivers every time.
I think with Jordan Peele, it's just because I watched him so much on his Key and Peele show, and then like just when he does interviews and the way he talks about things, I just think there's brilliance there. So I'll always be excited when he comes out with something. It's gonna end up being like the M. Night Shyamalan thing with Jordan Peele. Even if he has a ton of, every time there's something comes up, it's gonna get my attention. And Jordan Peele, I'll probably go to theaters more than a lot of the M. Night stuff. But yeah.
By the way, one of our viewers, Dingus McNally, I want to make sure we clear this up. Dingus McNally in the live chat says, I liked Monkey Man, and he produced that. Let's be very, very clear about this. Jordan Peele had nothing to do with that movie. What happened with that movie was the movie was produced, made, shot, completed, and it was done.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jordan Peele saw it when it was already completed and done, really liked it, and then he's the one behind getting it brought to theaters. After it was already done, shot, completed, everything, he's like, wow, this movie's really good. And he then took a hand in bringing it to theaters. And as such, he got a producer's credit. But just so you understand, not to take anything away from him, but just so you understand that he didn't actually have anything to do with the creation, production, or making of that movie at all. He came in after the movie was already done. Just so you know. All right.
Yeah, it was sort of like in that last episode of The Studio where she's like, "Oh, you directed this film?" He's like, yeah, basically. I bought the spec script and I
championed it.
Yeah,
I championed it.
Yeah,
By the way, movies don't get made without producers.
No.
Without a driving producer, no movie gets made.
No.
But in this case, the producer credit came as a result of him helping it get distribution, but he had nothing to do with the creation of it.
I gotta ask, did you watch the latest episode of the studio?
Yeah, we're
Yes.
With the debate? Oh, okay.
You
With
mean the
debate.
argument?
Yeah, the argument. Like,
Oh my God, it was
Yeah.
so uncomfortable.
now you get why I thought of you the whole time.
Oh my, yeah, I get it.
That was totally a you.
That episode was so uncomfortable, and I mean that in the Office kind of way.
You liked it?
I did, but man, I watched half of the episode with my hands over my eyes, going,
yeah.
"Oh my God, oh my God!" I was
and it-
getting trauma watching it.
And it might be too like we might not have enough time, but I do want to hear your thoughts on the actual debate and what their points on either side and what you think about all.
Oh, it's
that
all stuff I've heard from people before.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. Anyway, all right.
It'll
What's
have a
next?
screen in it. Sir Z. Now his first part unfortunately didn't come through. I checked, but it says, "I won't stop. Please never underestimate what you and the team do. Personally, your show has relieved me of anxiety while I'm driving home and helped my boys to still have a father. Thank you." On a less somber note, Liverpool Football Club, champions of England.
Oh, did Liverpool win the
Yeah, I guess
premiership?
so.
Good for Liverpool. I mean, it's fun. I don't follow soccer at all, but I know some. I know Manchester City. I know Manchester United. I know Liverpool.
Chelsea. Did you say Chelsea?
Oh, Chelsea. Yep, I'm familiar with Chelsea. I don't even know how many teams are in the Premier League.
I can't recall.
But yeah, anyway, thank you for the kind words, man. I appreciate that. And congrats to Liverpool. Arsenal. That's right. Reggie Phoenix says Arsenal. I know that one. They're saying there's 20 teams.
Okay.
There's 20 teams in it.
Well, there's
So, and I don't know most of them, but now Wrexham is going to be one league behind that. They're going to be in the Champions League next year. So, woo, good for them. All right, what's next?
Dildar the Glorious says, got to see the re-release of Revenge of the Sith, and I still love it 20 years later, but came to realize how awful the dialogue can get whenever Anakin and Padme interact.
Oh, boy.
I wanted to take a drill to my ears whenever it became bad sci-fi Shakespeare.
Again, we've been hearing from people who've been like big defenders of Revenge
And
of the
I've
Sith,
tried
and
to
they're like, huh.
And I've tried to explain that to people, like, it won't be true for everybody, but
No,
I've tried,
absolutely not.
and I've tried to explain it like, okay, but based on your criteria, you saw this at this age and you have this nostalgia, but go back and really watch it with your new perceived, like, understanding of filmmaking. It's not going to hold up.
Yeah, and it's just funny, and you're right. I'm glad you pointed out that's not going to be for everybody. Again, that's the beautiful thing about the art.
Yeah.
It hits us all in different ways. But it is funny how many people I've been hearing from, like people I know who have been defenders of that crap, to me crap, and going, oh, yeah, I went to go see it again this weekend. We released in theaters. Yeah, that was pretty bad. Right, like now looking at it from today's eyes. Anyway,
Just answer the question, John.
What's that?
Are you an angel?
Oh,
oh
God.
my God! Now that wasn't Revenge of the
That was-
Sith.
yeah.
I know, but that's
you-
some of the lines. But
Oh, that's so
who can
wizard, Ray.
forget the literary masterclass line of, "Let's try spinning." That's a
That's
neat
a good trick.
Oh,
I wanted to die when I saw that in theaters.
oh my God. Anyway, okay. What's next?
Lil Bernie, Last of Us spoiler without spoiling. I'm a map, I'm a map, I'm a map, I'm a map, I'm a map. I know that's a song to something, but I can't recall what that's from. I can't recall the reference.
I don't know the reference off the top
I
of my
don't know
head.
the reference either.
But there is a
Oh,
map.
Dora. It's from Dora the
Oh,
Explorer.
Dora the
Is that from
Explorer.
Dora?
Yeah.
Okay, by the way, can we just say, what's her name? Isabel.
Isabel Merced.
Okay. Let me
She's the
see.
best.
As what, Hawk Girl?
As Dina.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can find. Here we go. Can I just say she right now is kind of taking over the world? Because I'm just on her IMDb page right now. And if you go under upcoming, she's going to be in the new Superman movie. She's in Last of Us. She was just great in Alien Romulus. How great was she in Madam Web? I mean, come on. No, but I mean,
I mean, I can't
obviously-
stop thinking about it.
But listen, neither she nor Sydney Sweeney they were not the problems with that movie. The characters were the problems. But still, right now, again, she was wonderful in Alien Romulus. She's doing amazing in Last of Us so far. Cannot wait to see her in the new Superman. The world is just kind of becoming her playground right now. And good for her. How old is she now? Because she, like, to me in my head, She's still this little girl.
She's probably 28. I can't
She's
keep up.
24 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still think of her as this little Dora the Explorer, and she's kind of ruling the world at the moment. So good for her. All right, what's next?
Me, myself, and I really wanted to say Irene there. I've looked at historical data of charts and lists showing the average annual price of movie tickets beginning from 1900s. It's amazing how prices have increased. Yeah, they need to come down. I think if this trend continues, billion-dollar films will become more frequent.
No, it won't. And the reason why is because this is one of the big arguments against, why don't you count inflation? I've explained 1,000 times we should not take inflation into account. But the more expensive it gets, the more prohibitive it becomes from people
Yeah,
going.
fewer people are going to go.
Like, here's the thing. The big argument, or a couple of big arguments against, like, whenever box office in a historical context come up and you're talking about the biggest movies of all time, people who think they sound smart by going, well, if you take inflation into account, well, the reason you don't take inflation, the big fallacy of the inflation argument is you're making an erroneous assumption that if that movie came out today with today's context and today's circumstances, you make the assumption that that movie, however many tickets it sold then, is exactly the same number of tickets it would sell today. That's the only way inflationary arguments work, is if you make the fallacy assumption that, oh, all the tickets it sold then, that's how many tickets it would sell today. And no, it wouldn't. Because today, there are far more things competing for people's expendable money. There's far more things, even in entertainment, competing for people's entertainment dollars. Today, there's far more entertainment options to watch at home. Today, it's competing against video games. Not to mention, back then, whatever movie we're talking about came out, a movie ticket might have been $5. Today, it's $21. A lot of people would have decided not to go when they saw it for $5 if it would have cost $21. And the thing is, movie ticket prices have increased and outpaced inflation. Like, if movie ticket price increases were just in step with inflation, then that's one thing. But movie ticket prices have increased way ahead of inflation. So that's, it's a problem. It really is a problem. They got to get it under control. Anyway, all right, what's next?
We got Jabba's Nanabe's son. I would look a little stinky. I would rather watch a movie that has limited visual and special effects with a solid storyline as opposed to a movie with impressive visual spectacles and a poor storyline.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But there's no rule that says you shouldn't be able to have both.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, The King's Speech is way better than 95% of the big action films. And I love my big action comic book, whatever films, and a lot of them are fantastic. But King's Speech has no action. It's just mostly two guys talking, and it's amazing. One of the best films I've ever seen. But again, when talking about big action and spectacle, we shouldn't have to make the distinction between them, right? I mean, yes, if it's a lower budget movie, you're not going to have the big spectacle, but at least you can still make a fantastic quality movie. Conclave, for example. Honora, for example. But it shouldn't then be a choice. Well, you can either have great story and low budget or big budget and no story. No, you can do both. And we should expect our big movies to do both. And we shouldn't have to make the choice. Anyway. All right, what's next?
President Snow is here.
Dear.
Yeah. As a guy, I admit there are certain scenes in movies that I literally tear up. How dare you? You should hold those tears in all of your emotions forever. Even after I've seen them multiple times, maybe there's others out there like me. Nah, there's no other guys that cry at movies, only you. Yeah. But it's interesting how movies can affect my state of emotions. Titanic is one.
Oh, dude, listen, I'll tell you what. Jonathan brought up Life is Beautiful earlier. You can't, it doesn't matter that I've seen it. It doesn't matter that I know it's coming. You get to the third act of Life is Beautiful. I've told the story before that the first time I saw that movie, I was living in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, and I was in a movie theater watching it. And there were literally bikers in there watching the movie. And I don't know what they thought, that was cool World War II movie or whatever, but whatever motivated them, they were there watching the movie. They were in tears. I can't not get emotionally wrecked watching that. And I admit it. I still get weepy at the end of my best friend's wedding. The comedy. But that ending, when she's at the wedding and she's feeling down and she gets a phone call from, what's the name of the actor again? Rupert something. Anyway, and it's her best friend, not her best friend, but like her good close friend.
Rupert friend.
No, it's not. As she's at the wedding of the man.
It's Rupert Everett.
Yeah.
That's who it is. Yes, he's great, by the way. That she was actually in love with, and she wanted to end up with him, and now she's at his wedding, and she gets a call from her friend, and then realizes he's actually there. He flew across the country to be there for her because he knew she would need support. That breaks me. Like everybody laughs. Like I always talk about, I've only cried in a movie 7 times. And one of those is my best friend's wedding. And people always look at me like, what? It's like, yeah, that last scene, man, it gets me every time. All right. What's next?
We got Revenge of the Younglings. Sith re-release eclipsing Empire and Return of the Jedi Special Edition box office wasn't on my bingo card. I remember you claiming the prequels weren't as popular as some people claimed a few years back. While I usually think your Star Wars takes are a little out of touch with the younger generations, I don't think you were 100% wrong. It's not that kids or millennials have the prequels so much that they adore one of them. My theater knew most of it, word for word. Revenge of the Sith has a real effect on people who saw it. Yeah, I don't hear a lot of people talk about the other two.
No, everybody kind of acknowledges and agrees, understands they were garbage. Some people desperately want to hold. Again, it's all art. It hits certain people certain ways, and it hits us all differently, and I respect all that. And if somebody loves these movies, I love that they love them. I'm jealous that I don't get to love them. But they hit me in such a way that they're absolutely pieces of steaming, piling garbage. They're awful movies, like terrible movies. But that aside, that's my opinion. That aside, I think what it did at the box office this weekend was wonderful. I mean, it's clearly, again, not the biggest one ever done, but hugely successful. I couldn't be happier for them that happened. And listen, I'm one of the guys, I can recite that movie word for word because I'm a Star Wars guy. So even when it's terrible, I've watched it a million times. And listen, I love especially going to re-releases in theaters, especially for movies I adore, especially when they're bigger, more grand kind of movies with great visuals. So the fact that people got to experience that weekend, I think is fantastic. All right, what's next?
We got Ray with a $20 tip.
Thank you, Ray.
Hey, John, hope all's well. Two questions. Was wondering if you or the crew by any chance know how Crypto the dog came to be, like his origin by chance. And is it true that Tremors is coming to Netflix, a series with Kevin Bacon? I've heard rumors that there's interest, but I haven't heard much.
Yeah, I have heard that Tremors they're doing a Tremors series. I've heard of that. I've not heard that Kevin Bacon was going to be a part of it.
Outside of interest, but I don't know, and that's IMDb, so you can't trust IMDb.
No, you can't trust them at all. But, I mean, listen, not to say that I've heard that Kevin Bacon is not in it. I'm just simply saying I haven't heard that he is. So I have no idea about that. And as far as Crypto, I believe there have been different iterations in the comics about his origins. I listen, I'm not going to pretend that I'm a Crypto fan, either in Bitcoin terms or in the dog from Superman terms. I'm not a big Crypto fan, so all I know is that his origins have been different in the comics. So which one they decide to use in the movie, we'll find out. All right. What's next?
Be cool, Yolanda says.
Oh, Yolanda.
One of two. Cool. To my knowledge, recording a movie inside a theater is illegal. There are so many bootleg clips recorded from a cell phone out there on the socials. Not to sound like the grouchy, get off my lawn, old man. I'm 38, but I feel like it's getting worse with the younger generation trying to make viral TikTok videos. I feel like going to the cinemas is no longer sacred. Is there anything movie theaters can do to mitigate people recording and taking photos of the movie?
Well, I mean, like, let's be clear. If you pull out your phone and you start recording, you should be criminally charged. Like, you should. You should be criminally charged. Now, are there better uses for our legal system's time? Absolutely. But I mean, at minimum, that's why I like, again, there's a number of reasons that I really don't respect the people who own Alamo Drafthouse. Like, I really don't have any respect for them at all. But they do, I will always say, they do a number of things way better than the rest of the movie theater industry does. And I believe I've heard, like, they encourage people in their theaters. Hey, if you see somebody breaking rule, like if somebody's disturbing the viewing experience for other people, if people are pulling out their phones, just hit this button on your chair. Now, it's not about narking people out just because I want them to get in trouble, but you are literally ruining everybody else's experience. And I love how active Alamo Drafthouse is of throwing people out. And I really wish more movie theaters would adopt that. I really, really do. So hopefully more theaters will take that into account because it needs to stop. All right. What's next?
123 Sis says, "Hola, my friends. I can't wait for Andor tomorrow. I do have one question. Should they make it TV 16 or MA instead of 14 because of the adult content? Just wondering." I think 14
Listen,
is fine with 6.
there's nothing in it that's been R-rated.
Yeah.
Right? Nothing that's been in Andor, even this season, if it was in a movie theater, would get an R rating. Everything would be PG-13. Like, until they start, flashing tits and cock and ass, or literally have somebody holding somebody down as they take a saw and saw into their neck, there's nothing in there that would quantify for any of those ratings. Subject matter doesn't generally get you the harsher ratings. So no, I don't, from what I've seen so far, they absolutely shouldn't change the rating on it.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
Vincent with a $20 tip.
Thank you, Vincent. Appreciate that, man.
Greetings, John, Ray, Jonathan. A short, but not perhaps so simple question. Prime Donnie Yen versus Prime Jet
Li.
There you go. Closed environment, no weapons. Who wins the fight? Thanks.
Well, I mean, as far as who's the better true fighter, well, I've never seen a cage fight with either of them involved.
Right.
So you're just talking about
Scripted,
with
whatever.
scripted per se. But if you ask the real question, which is, in a movie, who do I take prime? And by the way, love Donnie Yen, always have. But Jet Li, particularly in his prime, is I'll say it. He's the greatest martial arts action star of all time. He's the greatest martial arts action star of all time. I'm not saying he's the biggest star. I'm not saying he changed the game like Bruce Lee did. I'm not saying he had this wild dimension to him where, like, revolutionizing doing all your own stunts like the great Jackie Chan has. But Jet Li, particularly in his prime, his on-camera martial arts, his on-camera movement eclipses even Bruce Lee's. Again, as revolutionary as Bruce Lee? No. As important as Bruce Lee? Absolutely not. He's standing on the shoulders of Bruce Lee. Like, there would be no Jet Li were there not for Bruce Lee. Okay, understand that, period. But because he was able to stand on the shoulder of guys who came before him like Bruce Lee, because Bruce Lee was able to lay that foundation and all that kind of stuff, I think Jet Li is the single greatest martial arts star ever. And like, you go back and watch some of his stuff, man, some of his older stuff. It's mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing.
You like him even over Jaden Smith?
He's, as hard as it is to believe, even a little bit more than Jaden Smith. As hard as that is to believe. All right, what's next?
We got Anonymous. Which do you think we'll get with Peacemaker Season 2? The same intro with updated cast? Still dancing to Do You Want to Taste It?
Oh, let me see. Which do you think we'll get with Peacemaker? Okay, the same intro with... No, they're not doing the same intro. I think we've already heard them say we're not getting the same intro. And what was the last part?
Or just a new song.
From what I understand, it's a new intro. And you know what? I think it's the right thing. I still think the intro to Peacemaker is the single greatest intro to any show ever. I would watch, like, I skip the intros of every show. Except for Game of Thrones. That includes House of the Dragon, because I just love listening to that music. But Peacemaker, I'll just sit down and watch the intro over and over again. But from what I understand, they are changing it. All right, what's next?
Raymond says, just got back from LA for Star Trek Red Alert at Universal Studios Fan Fest. Has the bridge set from Star Trek Picard and 2 other sets. There's also Quark's Cafe and
nice.
10 Forward for refreshments. Scott Mance interviewed the stars on opening night.
Oh, that's nice. And where's that, at Universal Studios Hollywood?
Yeah.
It's funny because Ann and I are actually taking my sister and her husband to Universal Studios Hollywood tomorrow.
Nice.
We're actually taking the VIP tour. Should be kind of fun.
Cool. Yeah.
I will look forward. Hopefully that they still have that there. I didn't know that was going on.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's not over. If it is, it is. That's fine. But hopefully it's still there and I'll get to see that. That's awesome. All right. What's next?
Reggie says, is Avengers Doomsday shooting back to back with Secret Wars?
Essentially. I think they is scheduled like a slight break in between them, and then they roll right into it, which is going to save them some, some hassle, and it'll save them some logistical nightmare. So essentially it's shooting back to back as far as I understand it. All right. What's next?
Cultured Insight. Hello. Once you retire from the channel, if offered, would you be National Director of Customer Experience for one of the theaters? I don't know if they're not movie fans, but I'm very often amazed at how out of touch they seem to be with what movie fans want.
I mean, I would absolutely be open to working with a movie theater chain, because as critical as I can be sometimes, I love movie theaters. I love the movie-going experience. Movie theaters are church to me. Now, I will obviously never work with AMC again, so long as Buttface is still the CEO there.
Oh yeah. Director Buttface.
Director Buttface. Yes, that's pretty sure that's the actual pronunciation of his name. I'm not a big fan of the guy. I just not a big fan. But would I be open to working with? I absolutely would. Now, none of them with any common sense would ever hire me, of course. But would I do that? I absolutely would. Now, listen, sometimes fans are irrational. And I say this as a fan myself. What fans often want is simply not practical. Like, I'm sure car fans, I think Porsche should sell me a car for $5. Well, that's great, but Porsche will go out of business if they ever did that. And there are certain things that film fans would love to get from movie theaters that are simply not realistic and simply not plausible. But I still think there's a lot of things that movie theaters can do to enhance the film goer's movie-going experience. And yeah, if any of the, hey guys, I know all you watch, or at least you got some interns paid to watch us. Yeah, you ever want to talk? Give me a call. I would love to. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Brody says, I'm 13 years old, not much life experience, obviously. I say this to give context to the fact that I just got around to watching The Last of Us Season 1, Episode 3. Thinking of life's meaning and purpose, it was beautiful. I've only seen him as Ron Swanson, A+ performance.
I think for a lot of people, I mean, he's done many other things, but to a lot of people, for Nick Swanson...
Or Offerman.
Nick Swanson.
Ron Swanson.
Ron Swanson.
Yeah. Nick Swartzen.
For Nick Offerman, a lot of people, Parks and Rec is their only experience with him. And why not? Right? Ron Swanson is a top 5 greatest television character of all time, particularly in the comedy realm. So why not? And then you go and watch him in The Last of Us Season 3. That's why he won an Emmy for it. And it is... I was so floored by Season 1, man. I was just so floored by it. And I absolutely love the show. And you're right. See, Episode 3, still greatest single episode of television maybe in the last 10 years or so. All right, what's next?
Okay, Cultured Insight is back and says, hey, everyone, called it last week. Happy for Ryan Coogler. Everyone I spoke to said...
time out, Culture Insight. You did not call a 6%
Not
drop.
for 6%.
You did not call that. Nobody did.
Big a big second weekend.
Yes.
Like
I mean, I think
6%,
we all thought it would have a big second weekend, but
6% is like identical.
yeah. All right. Sorry. Keep going.
Says everyone I spoke to said they were going to go see it week 2. I always hear if you want more movies like this made, get out and support. I hope this encourages him to do more original films like this. It sends a message to the studios for sure.
Yeah. Now, Ray, look up for me the worldwide box office total for Creed. For Creed. Look, this is not going to do Black Panther numbers, obviously. It might be able to catch Creed.
174.
That was the total worldwide
Yeah.
for Creed was 174. Yeah, so it can catch Creed. But yeah, listen, you're absolutely right. The way we communicate to the studios is not by Twitter. They don't give a shit about your Twitter or what you tweet, nor should they. The way we communicate to studios is with our ticket buying. Studios put out wonderful, artistic, great, fantastic, small budget, original films, and you don't go buy a ticket, then the message they get is, oh, that's not what the audience wants. We buy tons of tickets to go see sequels or remakes or stuff like that. Then they hear the message. Oh, the message to us is that's what the audience wants. I mean, they may get on their Twitters and put out their tweeters and say, why doesn't Hollywood make more original film when they haven't bought a ticket to an original film probably in the last 5 years? So you're right. This is the way you communicate. So let's get out and support a movie like this, man. For that matter, why didn't more of you go out and support Novocaine? Go out and support the other one with Jack Quaid, Companion. Like, these movies are really fun. Companion particularly, wonderful movie. And none of you went to go see it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the same people who don't go to see these movies get on their Twitters and go, why doesn't Hollywood make more original film? Well, they do. They make a ton of original film. Y'all just don't go see them. But you're right. This is the way we communicate with the studios. All right. What's next? By the way, Drop as well. Drop is a fun little original film. I'm not going to say it's like one of the best films of the year. It's not, but it was a fun little original film. Nobody wanted to go see it.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, what's next?
Sean says, hi, John, longtime listener. I got to see an event last night with Francis Ford Coppola at my local museum. It was incredibly exciting to see him, though he spent more time on random history than movies. Still a good time, would recommend to others. Well, what's the event?
I think he will go down as one of the most important figures ever in the history of movies. And it's not just because of The Godfather, but it's also the way he kind of started a little bit of a revolution in many ways. Like if you really want a fascinating study, look at the creation of Zoetrope. That was the name of his company, right?
Yeah.
It was him, George Lucas was just this young little scrapper guy who was brought in there too and worked with Francis Ford Coppola. I honestly think he will go down. Like whatever you think about Megapolis,
That doesn't even matter.
it's utter complete failure. I seriously do think he is one of the most important figures ever in history of cinema. And he should be celebrated as such. All right, what's next?
Reggie says, go see Sinners in IMAX. Thunderbolts is going to boot it out in 3 days, which probably explains Rob saying there are resellers.
Yeah, that's probably why the tickets had all been sold out. Is that again, this is the way of things. This is the circle of life. All right. Movies have their time. They get a chance to be on IMAX and whatever for a while, but then it's time for you to move out and have the next film have the opportunity to do that. So, but I would not doubt there have been other movies that IMAX then brings back like 4 or 5 months later for special, more IMAX screenings. I would not doubt at all if IMAX does a reissue of Sinners and plays it again in a few months.
They even did something like that for, I believe it was Top Gun Maverick.
They did.
Because the Jurassic World came out.
Yep.
And then you couldn't get, but then they put it back in 4DX after that run.
Yep. They are absolutely right about that. All right. What's next?
Brian Garcia says, I played The Last of Us Part 2 about 5 times and thought I could watch the season without breaking. Not the case. Ellie's waking scene in the hospital is horrific. But what broke me was her crying on the sleeve of one of Joel's jackets in the
Oh my
closet.
God. Okay, first of all, I still think the most heartbreaking one was her waking up in the hospital and that guttural, deep pain scream and cry. But you're right. They also talk about in the post show, the cinematographer talks about they wanted to be in really tight on those scenes. So if you remember that scene when she's in Joel's closet and getting one of his like more iconic jackets and she just crying it, that camera was so close. And that makes such an impact when you're watching it, that being up that close, that intimate, as she just is breaking and she just starts weeping and crying. And you're right, man. That shot was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful.
And how relatable, well, at least for me, that shot you're talking about, the beginning where she wakes up and she cries.
Yeah.
When I lost my dad, I was just crying when it happened, right? And then when I went to sleep, I woke up the next day. The minute I woke up, that's the very first thing I did, because it's like the realization that
Right.
that happened, you
Yeah.
know, and it was so relatable. It's crazy. Yeah.
100%. All right. What's next?
Oh my, Josh says, hi all. I just saw Until Dawn. It was so fun. I hope it has sequels. No spoilers. I love the part when they watch video clips on the phone. What is that? I'm actually watching Thunderbolts at 4 in Town Square. Hope to run into you. Thanks for all you do.
Yeah, I'll be around there. I think I'm seeing it a little bit earlier than 4. I think I'm seeing it like 2 or 2:30.
Oh, that's what it's Town Square. It's called Town Square.
Yeah,
in
the
Vegas.
AMC Town Square in Las
Nice.
Vegas is where I'm going to go watch Thunderbolts on Thursday. So any of you in Vegas, that's where I'll be. And again, yeah, Until Dawn. Do I think it was a great movie? No. Do I think there's a lot wrong with it? Yeah. But it was kind of fun. It really was. Now, listen, there's a lot of movies that say, well, just appreciate this movie, John, because it's dumb fun. No, it wasn't. It wasn't fun.
Yeah.
This one kind of was. Some really great creative kills. The gore was totally on point. Had a couple legitimately pretty damn funny moments. Great movie? No. But I had fun with it. As somebody who's never played the game, I had fun with it.
It's definitely if your theater does do the discount Tuesday things, it's definitely it's at least worth that. If you could watch it for $5, yeah.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Sin Vendetta says, after 9 years of waiting, I'm finally going to be able to see the Harry Potter and the Cursed Child at the Pantages Theater tomorrow. I'm beyond excited. John, are you and Ann planning to see it anytime? Now would be the perfect time.
Nope. And listen, my wife is a major Harry Potter fan. She is what I would qualify as a Potterhead. But she read The Cursed Child. I have not. And she has zero interest in seeing that show.
Dang.
Yeah. She did not like Cursed Child at the book. So, yeah, we have no plans to going to see it, so I probably won't be there. All right. What's next?
Anonymous says, I know you don't like Star Wars prequels, but is there any significance in episode 3 making 42 million worldwide these past couple of days?
Not really. Again, it was a great result. Not the best ever for a re-release of any kind, but it was really good. I think if there's anything to take away is that for the right kind of movie, re-releases, like you can't just up and re-release any movie, right? 'Cause we've seen that where it makes like 2 million, 1 million, whatever. But for the right kind of like event style movies, bigger epic kind of movies, re-releases can be a nice, practically free source of revenue to put them back in theaters because there's interest in that. Listen, every time they do a re-release of Lord of the Rings around me, I generally go to see it because I love experiencing it on the big screen. So I think if there's any takeaway for it, it just furthers the argument that re-releases can do pretty well.
Can we also say that maybe people are yearning for a Star Wars movie? Stop canceling them.
Well, we haven't had one in 7 years or 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, people want to go see Star Wars, folks. Maybe you should make some movies. I don't know. Crazy thought. All right, what's next?
Couple more here. Cody Hunt Film says, I literally was in tears from the moment the episode starts until Ellie and Dina start on their journey to Seattle. The moment when Ellie smells Joel's shirt absolutely broke me. There's something about found family relationships that really get to me.
And again, what makes it more powerful, what makes it even, especially when she wakes up, that scene when she wakes up and just starts screaming.
I think that dealt with the trauma and the other one dealt with grief. It's so great how they approach both.
Yeah. And I think both were enhanced by the fact that she had been such a wretch to Joel.
And they covered that in the game too.
Yeah. But I think like a part of it is like, oh, it's so annoying seeing her be so mean to Joel. But all of that led to her waking up in absolute agony and screaming out of hurt and pain and whatever. That was all amplified by the fact that she had been so terrible to him. And last week too, as she's laying on the floor begging Joel to get up, like
Right.
it just adds something to it, man. Like her being so terrible to him in the first couple of episodes adds to that moment so powerfully. And yeah, it was very, very well done. All right, what's next?
Mr. I says, with the first pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, Cleveland Browns select quarterback Javaris and Lamar. If you know, you know.
It's a little Key and Peele, I
Yeah.
think. That is
That was
one
a
of the
great-
best Key and Peele sketches.
I love that sketch.
That like Quintinius Lavidius, like, and just the fact that every time it's either Key or Peele, and they make themselves up to look totally differently for about 40 different characters. If you haven't seen, just YouTube Key and Peele. What was it? It wasn't Draft. It was a college game.
Yeah, it was like College Bowl.
Yeah.
something like
Look
that.
it up.
East versus West, something
It's
like that.
So funny.
Noctavius.
So good. All right, what's next?
Yeah, we have hear from some members here. Henry says, "Hey John, did you see the trailer for Ari Aster's Eddington?
No.
Can't wait. It's political thriller, western, and horror. Plus, Joaquin Phoenix is my favorite actor. Seems like this film is right up my alley."
I didn't know the trailer came out for it.
Yeah.
When did
Must
that
have
come
just
out?
Dropped a little bit
Eddington.
ago.
Yeah, I honestly didn't know a trailer for that dropped yet. I'll have to keep my eyes open. Thank you for putting it on my radar, dude. All right, what's next?
We got Zach. Hey, love from Australia. I wonder if RDJ will be the successor in these Avengers movies. I feel like you can't just bring him back and not have a massive impact in the villain. If the villain just dies at the end, it needs to be like a massive body count.
I'm not quite sure what it is you're saying, because you could absolutely have him and then have him die at the end of Secret Wars. I mean, Thanos gets killed at the end of Endgame. And had
Maybe he means with the
massive-
destruction that Thanos did, like he does just as much damage.
Oh,
or-
he's going to do some horrible things. Let's make I don't think they're going to set up that he's the one creating incursions or anything like that, but he's absolutely going to do some horrible things. Listen, you don't need him around a long time to have him make a massive impact, right? Hans Gruber is a top 3 greatest screen villain of all time, in my opinion. He was in one movie. And he's a top 3 greatest villain ever. Again, not everybody would agree with that, but I think most movie fans would at minimum agree top 10. For me, top 3. So you're going to have him in 2 massive Avengers movies. 2 of them. And it's going to have a huge impact, and it's going to be deeply, deeply meaningful. All right, what's next?
King Daddy Go. Sorry, wrong one. King Daddy Go. Hey crew. I hope all y'all's weekend was great. I binged all of You season 5, and I know it's not your cup of tea, but I was so enthralled with this story. I don't know why. I enjoyed the concept and story of Joe Goldberg. Always open to new perspective crime thrillers. Thanks for bringing on the filthy.
You know, my wife did the same thing. She binged the entire season 5 of You. Was it season 5 or 4? I can't remember.
What's
Anyway,
You again? What is that?
it's basically told. It's kind of Dextery in that it's told from the perspective of the killer.
Oh,
But he
okay.
he's all he wants. He just falls in love with women and then becomes kind of obsessed with them and all that
I
kind of
see.
stuff. So Anne watched the whole thing, and so I saw her watching a bit of it. She told me how it ends, which is a really neat way. For those of you who know, you know. But the way the show ends is really interesting. So yeah, listen, I'm not a You guy myself, but it's been hugely popular. And I love the way Anne described to me the way it ended. I thought it was really interesting. All right, let's take 2 more.
All right, Stuart, with the success of Sinners in its second weekend, do you think that will put the rest of the controversy we've been seeing in other media outlets regarding profitability? Just watch Ryan's YouTube video breakdown, the different formats to see it in is such a masterclass.
Well, it's not going to end the debate or even the question about its profitability. Look, the reality is, as of today, as successful as it's been, a mid-budget horror, vampire movie, all that kind of stuff, selling on IMAX screens, it has still only made about $160 million.
Because I don't think as many people are just seeing it in standard format. They're specifically going to IMAX, and so it can only make so much with the limited screens.
Yeah. So, again, let's not pretend. No, it kind of reminded me of Godzilla 1.
-1.
-1, sorry. Godzilla -1. Like, a lot of people think of that and think it was this massive blockbuster that everybody went to see. The movie was great, but not many people actually went to go see it. That's the truth. Like, Ray, what was the final worldwide box office of Godzilla -1?
It ended up in 100.
It was 100 something, right?
Yeah. Let me look at
Which,
it.
I mean, for the kind of movie it is, that's great. It is. I'm not saying it isn't, but you also got to remember
113.
Yeah, 113.
$113 million, right? The reality is, not that many people saw it. It was great. I loved it, but not that many people saw it. Both are true. And so for the reason you're seeing the discussion, I don't think there's any ill content. I don't think there's any ill intentions, I mean. I don't think people are trying to sabotage. No. It's a legitimate question to say, how profitable is the movie actually going to be? Now, I think it'll end up pretty profitable, but I don't think it's ridiculous that people are asking the question about, is it going to be profitable? Because again, at the end of the day, this thing is not making Minecraft money. This thing isn't making Oppenheimer money. This thing has made 160 something million worldwide, which means there's a lot of people who still have not gone to see this thing. So yeah, but I mean, here's hoping its success continues. I really hope it rolls and ends up with a pretty good return. All right, what's next?
All right, we got Philly, who says, "Hey, John and crew, which franchise are you more excited to see sequels from in the future? Planet of the Apes or Alien? For Alien with this trajectory."
I'm going to say Planet of the Apes because
I feel like it's plateaued for me.
maybe, but its plateau is still higher for me than Aliens. Because Aliens has done one good movie. Obviously, I'm talking about in the last bunch of years, right? Because ever since Aliens, pretty much everything Alien involved has been terrible, has been awful. Until Alien Romulus came around. And Alien Romulus was great, but it was just one movie. I have either liked or loved all 4 of the previous Apes movies. And I really like the new one. What was it called? Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes? Yeah. I really liked it. I didn't think it was as good as a couple of the other ones, but I still thought it was really quite good. So I would say if there was a new Alien movie tomorrow and a new Planet of the Apes movie tomorrow, I'd probably go see the new Planet of the Apes ones first. But that can change after we see Alien Earth and how good that is.
I'm with you on that one.
What's next?
All right, we got Dominic, who says, "I love AMC, but they have some balls. After I saw Revenge of the Sith on Saturday, they sent me an email saying thank you and also with links to all the trailers I saw before the movie in case I wanted to watch them again."
Yeah, this is a new thing they're trying. I also just got a couple of emails from AMC saying, thank you for coming to see this. And thank you for coming to see that. Here's some upcoming things. You know what?
That's fine.
I don't think as long as they don't do it too often to the point that it becomes spam.
All you do is delete it if you don't want to see the email.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad move. I don't think it's a bad move. And by the way, here, you saw these trailers, but here's some of the other films we have coming up at AMC theaters soon. I'll be honest with you, I don't think that's bad.
But what if the first page is always a manuscript of the Nicole Kidman?
Well, I would read it. I would always read it.
Before you can even click the open email, it makes you watch that first. Then once you watch it, you can click the open email from.
Yeah.
Don't give him any ideas.
And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the questions. Number 1, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number 2, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Big thanks, of course, to Chris Carr and Robert Meyer Burnett, who were here a little bit earlier. Thank you to Ray Ora.
See you guys tomorrow.
Jonathan Voico.
See you guys.
My name's John Campea, guys. Thanks a lot. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.